on part 5 of our mini album bookcase series of videos, and in this video we're going to just decorate a couple of the pages, so hopefully this won't be a very long video, but I wanted to go through what I was going to do. Now I am going to use some of Lisa Horton's dies. She's got some brand new dies that have come out this year, and the one that I'm using, I'm going to be using a variety of the dies. So I'm going to be using the butterfly dies, not the edger. I'm not going to be using the edger, I'm just going to use the butterflies. I'm also going to be using the 4-point bloom die. I'm going to be using that one, and I may also use the daisy flourish dies, but I haven't decided yet. But those are sort of the dies that I'm going to use. I'm going to use some of the background stamps as well, and some of the stencils. So we're just going to die cut some of the butterflies. Now I'm going to use the script stamp. I'm going to have a go with that. Now I'm going to use my block for this. Now my stamp might need a bit of a wash. Okay, right. So I'm going to use some perfect medium because I got that to hand. Okay, let's just get some perfect medium on here. Okay, and then I'm just going to stamp 2 butterflies at once. Okay, and press down. I've got black on there, but it doesn't matter because I had a dirty stamp. So, but no mind, because the white hopefully is going to cover that. So, oh, this is nice and pristine white. Okay, we need some tweezers. Hopefully I can get them out. Ooh. 1, 2. Ooh. Okay, let me put this back in here. Actually no, I'm going to throw that away because I don't want to contaminate my white powder, and that had a bit of glitter on it, so I should really only have one of those just for white. So right, let me I just need to tap off some of this excess. Oh, not that much. Okay, right, heat gun, so do apologise for the noise. Okay, so I don't know if you can see, you probably can't. There, look, and you just see how that's picked up the stamp. It's just amazing. So let's get some colour. Let's have a look at our book. What colour have we got in our book? So take that off and we'll have a look. So let's have a look. So we've got some quite nice colours in there. I think we'll work on this page here. So maybe I'd want raspberry. Let's go with raspberry. Okay, so let's tap some out. Tap some out. And then squirt. Now I think this then activates the colours. And hopefully the embossing is going to resist it. And I don't know if you can see. I can see it's really resisted it from down there. Can you see how the embossing powder has resisted the colour? That's going to look fabulous when that dries. So I'm quite pleased with that. So take them off very carefully, and again take this one off very carefully, and I'm going to heat these again, and I'm just going to give that, just to activate that a little bit more. Now I think what I may do is just blot some of that colour off, because there's an awful lot of colour on there and it's going to take forever to dry, even with a heat tool. So if I just blot some off, that then shouldn't take as long. I'll just bring them up so that you can see. That looks really nice. And there's the other one. So that looks really nice. I'm really pleased with that. And they're going to look really nice in our little book. And they, see how they pop? So, yeah, really pleased. They even pop on this one. But I like them on that one. So, I need the sentiment now. I know what I was going to use. I'm going to use some of the wordage sentiments. Right. Now we could punch, actually we could punch these out, and oh, that would be good. Memories. I quite like that actually. I don't know if you can see. I've kind of got dream in the middle and then inspire. That might work. Just pop it out and see. So let's edge that in some black. I can find the archival black. And just going to rub that round so that, because this is slightly like a glossy paper, you've got a little bit of wiggle time to, if you're using ink, especially archival, you've got that bit more wiggle time just to blend them in a bit more so that it looks a bit more blended. So that's what they look like, and then I've just gone ahead and just rubbed it round with my finger just to blend that, smooth those edges in. So move them out the way, move them out the way, Okay, so there's our sentiment and our two little butterflies. Now I need something on there, so I need a, what do I need? I could do with a little centre. I still wonder if that needs a bit of brown around it to soften those edges a little bit. Let's have a go. Just a tiny bit, just to take away those white dark edges, just to make it a bit more. There we are, that looks a bit better, I think. So that's with it without, and then that's with it with. So I think it just frames it a little bit. There we are, just a tiny bit, just to frame that. So try and tidy up as we go along. Hasn't worked so far. Okay, so that's going to be down here. Okay, and then what I'm going to do with those is I'm going to put on some little clock hands in the middle of our butterfly. That I think needs a bit something behind it, so let's no, can't cut that out. I've got some spare paper. Let's get some spare. That's white. Let's go with them. And I want this size. Now I could go keep it white. It's a bit big, but I could put it on the side. Maybe stamp the sentiment behind. Shall we do it in embossing or just in? Let's go with embossing, and I'll use that and embossing powder. If it doesn't work, I can always turn it over and use the back of it, but I like these sort of crafting on the fly. There we go. Right, let me just hold that there. Let me tip this back. This is where I need a glamorous assistant. Okay, I'm going to keep that held. Right, sorry, heat gun again. So that then can go. That looks quite nice. Now, shall I go round it in? Just go round just slightly. Okay, we've edged that now, and then that's going to. I'm going to keep that on the side. I quite like that more so than in the centre. I think it just brings a bit more interest to it, like so. Just make sure that we've got that centre. Now we can put it on with. Do you know what I think I want to do? I actually want to staple it. Okay, I have I've got that in the place I want it. Now I'm just going to staple, and I might just give it another one to make it a cross, like so. That gives it a little bit more interest, I think. So when I've done that, I need now, oops. Like to just bang down the staple, the backs of the staples, so that they don't catch and then they lie flat. So that can go on there. There we go. Let's have put them down, and we can stick that on. Actually, we could stick that there, so it's just on an angle, and then let's put our our hands on. There we go, like so, and then we can get a little bit there, and that can go like so, and then my little tiny one we can put there. So I'll put that on first. I'll put my handle on first. I've got smaller ones in here, so let me use a smaller one because it's a smaller butterfly. And that can go there. And then a bit of glue on the back. And then that can go at another jointy angle. And that then is the first page in our book finished. How quick and simple was that? So I'm really enjoying this, doing things like this. So we could then stick to the other side here and make that not as 3D, so you could just add some text or something to that one, and then carry on, and then before you know it you'll have it all finished. So before I then carry on, we've got then to do our front cover, because I keep forgetting to do that. I just wanted to do a little bit of, I wanted to have a little bit of a play really, more than anything, to have us, you know, just have a play and see what that is like. Yeah, so now we'll get on and we'll finish our front cover, and when we can add some, maybe some flowers or something to that. So when we come back, I'll have got all my bits ready, and we can carry on. So I've got my craft card, because we are going to need to cover a book first with our craft card. So you'll need 2 pieces of your craft card cut at 2 3/4 inches by 3 3/4 inches. Okay, so we'll cut that first. Just double check that. That's nice, yep. And then your pattern paper, again, it's up to you. You can go with a 1/4 inch border around, or an 1/8 of an inch. I'm going to go with a 1/4 inch because that's what I did on the spine. The measurements for this, because I'm going to do the 1/4 inch, are 3.5 by 2.5. So I'm going to do the 3.5 first. So 3.5 by 2.5. And then one more, because you've got to do 2 of these. By 2.5. And double check, because that doesn't look right. But it is. It's because it's so tiny. Okay, so that's the... Which one is it? It's that one. So that's then our paper and our matte and layering done. Then we can think about what we're going to use to embellish it. So I'm going to just give these a distressed edge with the ink. So get your glue, get this put on, and put the other one on. Then you should be good to stick them on. There we are. Then we can just go ahead and attach them. So, oh. Okay, make sure these go up the right way. I'm sorry, I'm being very quiet today. I think it's because I'm concentrating. There we go. So then that is then the finished book. Now what I'm going to do, I'm not going to do anything very fancy with this closure. I'm just going to tie this elastic so that it keeps it closed. Now what you could do is, or what I could have done before I'd done that, is put some beads on there or something. That would have looked quite nice. But I'm going to just cut that bit off so that they are like that. Right, so now we need to decorate the front with of our book. So I thought what we'll do is I'm going to go very simple actually. I'm going to use the flowers that I've cut. So I'm going to use these flowers. I'm just going to use one, and I'm going to do the same technique as what we did inside. I decided to use the wordage sheets on the front of my mini book, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to circle punch it out and use it with a resin circled frame. But before we do that, let's get our die cuts that we did earlier. Let me just work this out. So I could get that there. Because I don't want it too bulky, because I don't know if it's going to fit. It needs to fit into our box. I have also got metal feet to put onto my bookcase as well. I've got some feet that need to go on the sides. So they're probably going to go on shortly. But then if we don't want to make our books too bulky on the outside, because they need to fit in there, as you can see. So like so. Now I may just, actually probably what I'll do is I'm going to jazz this up a little bit. So we'll probably do another one. As I say, I'll put pictures up on Facebook and Instagram for you to view the finished article. But yeah, I thought it would be too much to go through every single page that I decorate. So going back to this book that we're working on, we need to put some flowers on. It can't be too much because this needs to come off and on, so we could just put one or two on, and then our little sentiment down here. I could then add, yeah, okay, let's just do it tomorrow, just do it. So we're going to use not going to use the script stamp because we've used that one already. So let's go with the crackle. So I need to take this off and put this on a block. There we go. And okay, I need my perfect medium again. This will need to be inked up. Now what I could do is actually take the paper to the stamp instead of the stamp to the paper. And see if we can get a nice image this way. Yeah. Yeah. And up here. This bit. Like so. There we go, that's looking good. Right, now I just need to get them onto my piece of paper because I'm going to use this with my white embossing because I'm trying not to get this contaminated because it being white, any little thing gets caught in there. So I'm sure I just put my tweezers back. Okay, right, I don't know where those tweezers went. In the same way as where all the rulers go in this house. Okay, let's just pick this up. Okay, right, we'll put them down. Let me move this. Oh, I've got one in there. I'd forgot I had. Oh, okay, okay, let's get you out. Okay. I tend to try and have a different mat when I'm embossing because I'm a bit, I don't like, I work in a mess, but I do not like to have, if you're embossing and then you touch your mat and you still got some of the embossing crystals on the mat, and it's like the powder, I just don't like that texture on my hands. These have come out really well. If you can see, very faintly you can see the embossing. That one's a really good one. You can see the white. It looks, actually this would be really good on leaves, so it just looks like the veins out of the leaves. Unfortunately, that's the end of my video. Now, I had recorded my ending bits of this video, but unfortunately something happened to the recording and it was corrupted, so I couldn't save it at all. And I'd spent hours and hours on it, so I just didn't have the time to redo it. So what I did is I took some photographs of my finished book, and which you're seeing now, of you know, the different parts that I did. I also had recorded a short video on my telephone. Unfortunately, it is not the best. I don't record on my telephones or iPads. I use a video camera. So this is the first time I used it. So it's trial and error until I've used it a bit more and I get a bit more fade with using it. Unfortunately, this is what I got. So I'm babbling now. So to talk through the video, what I'd done is I'd only made 3 of the small albums. I did 2 of the bigger spine and 1 of the smaller spine. Now, I didn't want to use all 4 of my albums, only because I heavily embellished the front of my books. I wanted to be able to get them in and out without ruining the embellishments that I've done on the front. Also, I do a lot of 3D work in my memory books, if you've seen my memory books before, and I wanted to give my albums room to grow, so that when they do get kind of full up, they're not fighting with each other for the space in the bookcase. I will make up the other memory book, the small one, and just have that as an addition, but just won't put it into my bookcase. Again, that's my personal preference. As some of the other DT, they have used all 4 and they look beautiful. I will have to say they all look really beautiful. This was just my preference to do. Now, as you can see, I'm just taking out one of the books that I've done. Now, on the front of my books there, I've got the 4-point bloom, but on the side, I've used this metal handle that also acts as a pulley to get my book out, but also acts as my closure for my elasticated cord that I've used. Now, I've white embossed the flowers, and well, one of them I've white embossed, and then the others I've just used some brown archival ink. I didn't put them the same because I wanted a bit of a gradient between the flowers. I thought that if I'd have done them all in white embossing powder, it would have been a bit too overpowering. So I wanted one that was a bit more standouty than sort of the rest, which is the one at the top. Now, I love these 4-point bloom flowers. They're brilliant. So as we flip into the inside of the book, as you can see, I've made just some tags using a corner rounder, and the front of the pocket was made with the nested flag dies that Lisa Horton has got. They are wonderful dies, they really are, and I use them on most of my projects now. They are just so versatile. And I wanted to show that you don't have to just make the tags with them, you can make other things. So that's how I made my pocket for the front of my book. Now, as we go then on to the first page of my book, sorry about that. I've been obviously painting, and with lockdown, I haven't been able to get to the nail bar. So please excuse the state of my nails and my fingers. As you can see, I've been very inky. So on the front here, I've used some of the wordage sentiments, and the green is die cut out of one of the banner dies that also Lisa brings out. And I got my sewing machine out, yay! And just sewed some pieces of material that I had in there just to create a bit more of a focal point. Now, inside the book, what I did was I made up a lot of masterboards using a lot of Lisa Horton's stamps and dies, inks and paints, and I tried to match it with my papers, which I thought I did very well. So in the stamps that I've used is the script stamp, it's the distress bubble stamp, I've used the medieval stencil, I've used the bubble stencil, I've used the script stencil, I think I've used pennies in a line stencils, lots and lots and lots of her products I've used to create my masterboards. And I so thoroughly enjoyed doing masterboards. They're so versatile, and you always get a different look. And if you're just starting out doing mixed media, this would be the way to go to get yourself into it, because there's never any right or wrong way. Now, as we flip on to the next signature in our book, I've cut some of Lisa's butterfly flourish dies, and I've heat embossed in white on one of the butterflies using the in the loop stamp, which is in there. There's a small like line stamp, so I've embossed that with perfect medium, and then with Lisa's white embossing powder over the top. And then I've stamped one of the sentiments from the ticker tape, and it says memories on there. And then I've stamped that onto linen, and then I've used some cotton lace and some Hessian ribbon as well. Here we are, just looking at a bit more of the masterboards that I did. And coming on to the third signature in our book, I've tried to go a little bit grungy with this one. So I've got one of Lisa Horton's heart grey board pieces that I've coloured using a alcohol marker, and then used some clear embossing powder over the top. Lisa's clear embossing powder over the top, and as you can see, it gives like a rust effect. So I really like that technique to do. And then again, I've used some of the wordage stamps there that I've inked around the edges just to make them a bit more vintagey. And then again, some more of the masterboards in my book. And then we come to the back, and then I've used again the same technique on the front, where I've done another pocket and to put some more tags in using some offcuts of the paper that I had. So we'll put that one to the side, and then we come on to the book that's in the middle. Now, this book was the first one I did, and I just had so much fun with it. I really did. I've done the closure a little bit different on this one. As you can see, again, I've used the elastic, but I have it going all the way around my book over the top where it doesn't sort of wrap around. And then I've added a little tassel just on the side, just as a little focal point. But the flowers again are the 4-point blooms, and this time I've white embossed them with the crackle stencil, and I'm trying to get in there very close, I think, so that you can see it looks a little bit like leaves, like veins you would get in leaves. It's a very nice stamp to use, especially on your leaves. Now, in the resin heart, what I did, and it was still a little bit damp here, so that's why it's a little bit more shiny than it would be normally. But inside the resin heart, I'd put some crackle medium in, and when that's dried completely, it should just give a crackle effect on the top, like a gloss effect. But as you can see, it wasn't completely dry. So hopefully next time you see this, it will be dry and it will give you that effect. But I've used one of the worded stamps in the worded sheets inside, but I've circle punched that one inside there. Now, as you can see on the leaves there, I used the oh, I've got in really close with that. You can see on the leaves the crackle stamp, how it makes the leaves look like they're veins. So you could maybe stamp that with some green, either distress ink or archival inks, to give you that sort of tonal effect. So again, in the front of my books, I've also got another pocket, but this time I've actually used the fishtail of the nested flag dies that Lisa brings instead of the top. And I think I prefer this effect more than the other one. But it gives you an idea that you can use both parts of it. So just gives you a lovely effect. Now, I didn't embellish this one as much as I have done on the other, but I used just the offcuts of my masterboards to create my tags in the front there. Now, as you can see, just at the side there, I had some beads that I'd used to decorate my closure with. So I'm just talking through now my masterboard offcuts that I had that we repurposed. So you don't throw anything away. So in this book, I decorated some of the pages, and this one I used again the butterfly flourish dies, but I white heat embossed with the the script stamp that Lisa has just bought out. They are called textures, and they are an A size stamp set, and you get a long script stamp, and then a long sort of messy grungy stamp, and then you get two small stamps as well, which is like spotty but very grungy. So I'm showing you now a bit more of the wordage stamps. They are so handy, they really are. So again, I've circle punched this, used the mini staple attacher, and inked around my edges just to create my sentiment on the front. And then for the body of the butterflies, I've used some tiny metal clock hands. Here we go through a bit more of my different masterboards that I cut up. As you can see, I did tend to use very much the same colours but a different tone for the different books, so you create different effects using the paint and the stamps. I have to say the background stamps from that Lisa Horton has just brought out are absolutely out of this world. They're brilliant, they really are, and so versatile and lend themselves to so many different projects. So we are probably talking about the tassel now in the background that I did. I had a bit of a problem with this particular closure. I'd done a couple of things, but I just wasn't happy with it. And but as you can see in the other two books, I changed my idea of them, but it's still very functional and works well. It's just me. I'm a bit of a perfectionist when it comes to things like this. So Again, I did the back of this book just the same as the front, with using the fishtail of the nested banners. So here we come on to my third book. Again, I've used those beautiful 4-point bloom dies, and again I've heat embossed one of them and then just graduated the colour down. So you've got the white, and then I've then coloured them in and stamped them more with a archival brown ink, just to give a bit more vintage, sort of old world type look. Now the papers here that I've used are the rose and lace papers from Stamperia, and in this book I then decorated the fronts of the inside covers of my book. Now I did them the same. Again, I liked the overall effect of the fishtail banner dies. I call them fishtails because it's the bottom of the die that or you could say flag, the bottom of the flag die that I've used. I really like that effect. I'm going to be using that a few more times on my projects. That it just gives you, just makes your dies go that little bit further. Now in this one, my masterballs, I was really pleased with, because what I did was I used the dies as my template, and so I drew around the butterfly flourish die so that I could create a bit more. I wanted a butterfly die, so, and I didn't know how to get it. So, you know, I didn't want the die as in a 3D project or stuck on. I actually wanted it in my background. So what I did was I drew around it, so traced around it, and then inside them, inside the butterfly trace, I used Lisa's iridescent mica powders, the gold one. Now I haven't got the actual name of these yet, so fortunately I can't tell you what they are, but I'm sure they are fantastic. There's a few of them coming out, but the gold one for me was just very subtle. And as you can see, I only used the bare amount, not even the size of your fingernail. A bit of the product did I use. So I just mixed a little bit with water, using either a water brush, and then I just painted it on, and it just gives you that absolutely lovely effect of it's just like a bit more pizzazz really in my book. So it's a little bit different. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. Again, I do apologize that the ending didn't get recorded, but hopefully you will be able to see where I've actually gone with the whole project by these videos and a few of, and obviously the photographs at the back, at the front. Thank you for staying with me. Please, if you're not a subscriber already, subscribe to my channel. If you do, hit the notification bell. That will send you an email every time I upload a video onto my channel, so that you can come and check it out. Come and see me on Facebook, Instagram. I'm also on there. Come and say hi. I upload pictures and things like that all the time on there as well. So it would be lovely if you come and say hi. If you have any questions for me, please leave a comment or message me. If I haven't got back to you within a few days, then message me again, because that would mean that I just haven't seen the message. Again, thanks for sticking with me. I hope you have a good day. Stay safe and love to you all. See you soon. Bye.